In this video, you will be learning about the volume of sphere and the volume of hemisphere. A sphere is just like a soccer ball or a basketball in real life. How do we calculate the volume then? The volume can be calculated by the formula 4/3 pi r cubed. And using this, we can now derive the volume of a hemisphere. A hemisphere is half a sphere, which is half a ball. Now if we imagine this, we will have the volume of hemisphere as half times 4/3 pi r cubed. Basic cancellation will then give us the formula as 2/3 pi r cubed. And this tells us why the volume of sphere can be calculated by using 2/3 pi r cubed. Now with this, let us look at the first example. Example 1 states that a sphere has a radius of 0.2 meters. Calculate the volume. Volume of a sphere, as introduced in the first part, can be calculated by the formula 4/3 pi r cubed. And since we know that the radius is 0.2, we can now substitute into the formula. This would give us 0.033515 meter cubed. Since the radius is in meters, the volume must be in meter cubed. And because we need this answer for part B, we must have a more accurate answer, which is rounded off to 5 sig fig, before we can have the final answer rounded off to 3 significant figures. In part B, the question requires us to find the mass of the sphere given the density is 7.5 grams per meter cubed. How do we calculate the mass? We must first know that density is calculated by mass over volume. Once we know this, we can now sub in the respective values. Density is given as 7.5 in the question. Mass is unknown. And volume is found in part A. We must use the more accurate answer, which is 0.033515 instead of 0.0335. With this, we can now calculate mass You must round off the final answer to 3 significant figures, and since this is the last part of the question, we do not need to find 5 significant figures before finding 3 significant figures. We can just leave the final answer as 3 significant figures. Please pause the video and try the next practice question. Let us now look at example 2. Example 2 requires you to find the volume of a hemisphere given that the diameter is 0.5 meters. Volume of hemisphere is given by the formula 2/3 pi r cubed. Since we know that the diameter is 0.5 meters, we can now substitute into the formula as 0.5 divided by 2. Since diameter is twice radius. With this, we can now calculate the volume of hemisphere. Bear in mind that the worksheet stated that pi will be taken as 3.142 unless stated otherwise. So in this question, we will also take pi as 3.142. You should be able to get 0.0327 meter cubed. Please proceed to try practice question 2 and pause the video. Let us now look at example 3. Example 3 requires you to find the radius of a sphere given that the volume is 1416 meter cubed. Now let us write down the first step. Volume of sphere is given as 1416 meter cubed. With this, we can now form an equation. Volume of sphere is calculated by 4/3 pi r cubed. In subsequent working, you can omit, which means leave out all the units until the final step. R cubed is then calculated by 1416 divided by 4/3 pi, and pi is 3.142. In order to find r, you have to cube root and this will give you the answer as 6.97 meters when you round off to 3 significant figures. Since we did not define what r is, r can represent anything in the world. So in the final step, we must always remember to write down radius is equal to 6.97 meter. Please proceed to try the last practice question and you may stop here.